Hello everyone, welcome back to the Workbench for an update on what I've been up to. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed over the past couple of weeks, and I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. I've been busy designing and printing my own building details, such as the guttering and some chimney pots. I know you can buy these from companies like Model U and stuff like that, but I've got the means to do it, so I thought, why not? I finished scribing the bricks on the wash house. Next I'll be adding the roof slates that I've made using my laser cutter. Just got there. I much prefer to imitate real life building practices when it comes to roofs, because it just gives a much more authentic look rather than it just being perfectly flat, which makes it look a bit more interesting. Once I've added the roof slates, I can then move on to painting the model, which I'll walk you through later on. So I'll get these roof slates added and I will see you shortly. Alright, welcome back. So as you can see, I have got all of the slates on. I've also given it a base coat of like a medium sort of grey colour, which is just a dark grey that I've mixed in with some deck tan, just to sort of warm it up a little bit. You might just be able to see, bring it in a bit there, just see what I was talking about with the sort of waviness to the slates, which makes it look a bit more realistic. So for painting bricks, my basic sort of technique that I use is this base coat. I then use some Indian ink, heavily diluted with some water, and I'll paint that over the grey, which is a little on the dark side, but I'm alright with that. We can alter that afterwards. You can use some 2000 or 3000 grit sanding sponge just to sort of lighten up some areas to give it some sort of variation. So what I'll do is I'll paint the roof just to show you the process, and we'll go from there. Now this Indian ink, it's a very, very dark pigment, so you do have to dilute it quite a lot, so just be wary of that, which also means it goes a long way, so you'll have that bottle for years. So I'm just going to slap it on. No real care to how it's going to lay, we just need to get on as much as possible. Don't use your best brush for this, because it's going to wear it out otherwise. Slap a load on, spread it about. There we go. And once that dries, it should give you a really nice base for the slate colour. And I'll show you what I'm after. So I'll wait for that to dry. So these are a couple of previous attempts at making the wash house. As you can see, they're very different from the other one by the angle of the roof. That's the drawings that appears in the railway modelers not being very accurate and incorrect. So the first edition, or the first version, you can just see where at the bottom of the doors there's no support, so it's pinched in there, and also the brick scribing is not the best. So, and the chimney is massively out of scale. Well, it's not out of scale, it's just the wrong dimensions. So in came version 2, which was much better. Just added a bit of extra length at the bottom just to give it some strength. But that's when I realised that the drawings were wrong. And that's the effect of the roof once you've added the slate colour. But with the let's get it to focus. So that's the effect I'm after with the bricks. There's obviously a step to go yet, well, a couple of steps to go till we get there, but once that ink is dried, I'll show you how I achieve it. Right, so that's dry now. You can see the wonderful sort of patchiness that it gives, which is a little rough, but that's exactly what we're after. Now, try not to drop it. Say you thought that was a bit too dark or a bit too uniform, what you can do, just get a piece of, this is a Tamiya 2000 grit sanding sponge. What you could do is just lightly just drag it over in a few spots or all over. Say if you really wanted to push the contrast, which is sort of what we're after, because this building is going to be pretty run down. It was only a wash house, just had some coals in there and whatever. So you just run that over and it just knocks it back a little bit and just brings that grey through and just adds that little bit of texture. So for the top coat, just get the palette. I use, this is the Ammo Rail Centre range. This is red brown. I got it with a brick paint set. So the way I mix it is quite light. So I'll say light. I want it to be translucent. So just got a few drops in there. And what I also like to do is to add just a little bit of light grey, just to tone the colour down a bit, because it's quite strong. And then also, what I like to do is just a couple of drops of matte medium, which helps it become a bit more translucent, which is what we want, because obviously we want some of that effect to show through. So a couple of drops of that, and then a couple of drops of water to dilute it. Now, get me brush. Just give it a mix with this one first. When you're using acrylics, it's always good idea to just add a couple of drops of water, because it just helps it flow better. And if you're really struggling with it painting nice, what you can do is add a drop of Vallejo flow improver. Don't need much, literally just he says, that'll be fine, just add a bit more water. We don't want it too thick anyway. paint this on in a nice controlled manner. Just make sure we keep it nice and thin. So the effect shows through. So I'll carry on with that, get the rest of it done, and I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. And you can see that's dried. There's a lovely patchy, lots of variation and minimal effort. That's just one coat, and then just the odd dab here and there where it was just a bit too dark. And now this is where the magic happens. So what I use now is this stuff, which is a lightweight modelling paste made by brickwork. I got this off eBay. It took a while for it to come, but it's amazing stuff. And I use this for the mortar courses. So I just use a silicone brush, just get a little bit on there, and then just smooth it over. You do have to work reasonably quick because it does dry pretty quickly. And the beauty of the brick scribing method is that you can scribe the courses quite deep, so this stays in place quite easy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite so well with plastic hard. So now it looks quite bright, but when it dries, it's actually semi-translucent. Just zooming in a bit there so you can see a bit better. Once that dries, it'll be semi-transparent, and then it should look the part. And if it's too bright still, we can go over it afterwards. So I'll leave you with it. I'll get all that done, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so welcome back. There we go. You can see the paste is dried. Slightly uneven, but that's just how it is in real life. No mortar's perfect. So if that stands out just a bit too much, what you can do is, like I've just done here, just take your black ink that you used for your base coat, dilute it a heck of a lot more, and just paint it all over, and it just tones it down nicely. What you've got to remember is that the viewing distances that you would realistically be seeing these buildings, the mortar just wouldn't stand out that much, so toning it down really is the way to go. I know some people like the stark difference, but to me it just doesn't look realistic at all, so that's what I do for that. So I'll just show you what that actually looks like when you're putting it on. Again, you can be a bit more careful and just sort of brush it on nicely. Yeah, it looks worse than it is when you're putting it on. But it'll all just soak into the foam putty. But also it will just gently weather the building while we're at it. It's also at this point where you can sort of simulate properly worn mortar. By adding more, making it a lot darker. That looks pretty good to me. And I think that will do it for this video. Tune in next time. I'll be making the window and the doors, and then the bit at the top of the chimney. I don't know what you call that. Anyway, see you next time.